Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at another legend team that is still here with Deoxys in the lead, the Sableye as a Sayswap, as well as the Mandibuzz in the back. This team is from Mr. MC Calvin, someone like that. I don't know how to say your name, but hopefully it's okay, as you most days see them right now on the screen. Anyway, congrats to you hitting a legend with this team, as we're going to have here the Dark Pulse variant finally of the Mandibuzz, which is definitely way better than the Foul Play variant. I recently played the Foul Play variant in Accident, which I didn't want to. Also, this video, you're going to see a ton of really horrendous plays by me. I'm still very sick right now, and yeah, it's a little bit difficult for me to concentrate and also commentate a little bit, so yeah, sorry about that one. But yeah, they're going to be a lot of very weird and bad plays, and still I went crazily positive with this team. I did 11 battles total, and I went 8-3 with this team, I think, which is really solid, which is really good. And out of those 3 games that I lost, I got 1 time hard counted and 2 times I lost on my own, I think, so that's kind of great. But yeah, honestly, this team is amazing. Can highly recommend you to try it out, as this team is super strong. Mandibuzz is really good. If you have a decent one, definitely something that you want to have in general during the current time of the Go Battle League. Here, I nearly screwed up this game, by the way. I completely hard countered the opponent, didn't throw my return on my Sableye, and literally nearly lost this game still, which was so unlosable basically for me. It was wild, and there were a lot of very weird plays that I was not supposed to do, so yeah, I'm sorry, a little bit sick right now. It's going to be fine, but it's still going to be at least funny to watch that. Here, for example, why did I go for the Psycho Boost? I could have just stored all my energy and I would have been fine with my Sableye, as I am going to completely hardwall them anyway. I guess it's still okay here, because I think I should put them now into 1 foul play range if I am lucky, and I think I am in this position where I can just go for 1 foul play here, knock them out straight away. So I guess it worked out in the end, but again, you don't really have to do this. You can just swap immediately into your Sableye, because the matchup is so dominant. Here we're going to now see the Dugong going for the Icy Wind. We can let this move go through. We can align our Deoxys, which can go for some counters. And against the Gligar, we're just always going to go for a Psycho Boost and then swap out into our Mandibuzz, which will be able to just counter the opponent here, as they decide to forfeit this game. So, let's take a look at the next game. We're going to see an Alolan Sandslash in the lead, Shadow variant of it, and we see another Gligar in the back. And of course, we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to go for a Psycho Boost, swap out into our Mandibuzz, and this is going to make this matchup way easier, because now you can just go for 1 Dark Pulse against the opponent, and you should be fine. I don't think it does knock them out straight away, but it should put them into farm down range, which is all I really want here anyway, so it should be fine. They might be able to still get to an aerial ace afterwards, but against the Shadow variant, Dark Pulse does around like 40%, I would say. And we will see here, they can just barely with 1 HP still get to the aerial ace, which is actually really important for them, because now they can farm me down, I think, with their Galarian. Never mind, they have anyway the Medicham in the back. Don't mind me, I'm completely talking nonsense here, as the opponent going to still have to eat 2 aerial aces, which is totally fine for me. So, this game is over at this point already. You'll most likely see it as well. I can just go into my Sableye, and the opponent also realizes here is no way for you to win this game. So, we can move on into the next one. Decent lead for us, but our entire team is decent against Medicham, which I think is the main thing for this team. There is nothing where you don't really want to encounter the Medicham. Medicham is good for you against your lead, your Sayswap as well, so your Pokemon in the back. And as a Medicham is basically on every single team, this team really has a lot of play in the current meta, and I really enjoy this team even more than the first Legend team, which I showcased yesterday, I think. So I would definitely recommend you to try this one out here as well. As the opponent makes a great play here, I decide to go for a return, because 2 returns is actually enough to knock out a Lickitung, and I would be able to get to 2 returns. So for them shielding up the first one, great play by them. Here, still going to be able to hit another one, and we're gonna get the opponent fairly low, allowing me to go into my Mandibuzz, which is going to be able to take the lick damage for sure, but also the body slam damage is basically not there. Mandibuzz is an insanely bulky Pokemon. I really hope that we're going to get Vullaby spawns eventually in an event, because getting good IVs for this one, as you see on the right side as well, is very difficult. I traded, by the way, a ton of Vullabys, at least like 50 or something, in order to try to get some decent IVs, and this is the best IV spread that I got so far, so it is just really difficult right now. Like, I always went for regionals and tried to ask people there for their Vullabys, and I never got a decent one yet, so it's kind of awkward. I wish I had a little bit of better IVs, because I think IVs for this Pokemon matter quite a bit. For bulky Pokemon, it definitely usually matters a lot if you have like low attack and decent defense and HP, because yeah, like if you have a low attack, the difference is actually pretty huge in terms of the IVs, like what it does. For example, you see with the Bastion, you have way more bulk now than XL variant compared to the non-XL variant, just because you have like this lower attack stat there. And it's just basically similar to like something like Mandibus as well. So definitely something where you kind of want to have good IVs if you can. Here we're going to see another Dugong in the lead, which is totally fine, as the opponent decides to swap into his Superior. Why do I go for a charge move? Don't ask me that, because I have no idea why. I'm going to be able to go into my Mandibus, and I have to go for 2 Aerial Aces still anyway, and I don't think it really matters that I went for the charge move there. So I don't think this was a smart idea at all, but we are still going to be able to just take those Aerial Aces really easily here, as the opponent going to have to take some Aerial Aces as well. And they might even want to swap out eventually, because they're using a shield here. They might expect that I'm weak to the Superior in the back, which I'm not really going to be. But they decide to now swap out into the Dugong. I can still go for a charge move here. But again, I didn't really need to go for the Psycho Boost in the beginning. I think that really hurt me, especially as the opponent can still go for a charge move here. There's no reason for me to shield this move up, as I can now overfarm by quite a lot. Still get to the Thunderbolt, still going to be able to get the knockout here. I might have been even able to farm them all the way down, but I'm not sure about that one yet. As you're going to now see the opponent swapping into their Superior again. They can get the knockout if they want to. And now I make maybe a misplay here, because I am going to go into my Sableye. Maybe I should have actually went into my Mandibus and just let it go through. But I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter anyway, because the opponent going to have the worst single Pokemon for this team here, which is going to be the Carbink. Carbink is at least still kind of neutral against your lead, but if your lead is gone, this Pokemon is basically unbeatable for your team, because the entire moveset of both of your Pokemon in the back is going to be resisted. Of course, Shadow Claw isn't, but like the charge moves are all resisted here. And maybe I should have tried to go for the return eventually, but it's still, of course, not over yet, as we had a great advantage in terms of energy as well as with the shield. But here they can go for the knockout against my Sableye, and they know, of course, that I'm going to have my Mandibus in the back, and I don't have that much energy, so I'm going to be forced to try to bait here, as I still have a shield left, and they call the bait, and they just decide to forfeit this game. There was not a lot that I can do there, I think, at this point, but that was a wild one. Definitely the worst possible Pokemon to face for this team is going to be the Carbink, but honestly, I don't really face it too often, which is kind of sad, because I actually built a Lairon already when basically Carbink got first released, and I haven't used it yet because there are next to no Carbink, so it's not really useful to use this Pokemon right now because there's no other target in the meta. So hopefully they're going to buff Metal Claw or something, so my Lairon that I built, my Shadow Lairon, is going to have some use eventually. But yeah, we're going to encounter an Azumarill. I maybe misplayed this a little bit by going into my Sableye here. By the way, my IVs on the Medicham, on the Deoxys, as said also in the recent video, is not any breakpoint or bulk point or something. It was just the only one that I had when I started PvP, and I haven't built a new one since, because the difference is not that big, but there is a little bit of a difference. And one of the few matchups that you're going to lose with this specific IV spread of the Deoxys is going to be the Ice Beam player variant of the Azumarill in the one-shield scenario, which is kind of funny because you just encountered it. But it's basically, I think, the only real matchup that you're going to lose with this Pokemon here, so there is where the AVs definitely don't come in clutch. Also, we are going to struggle a little bit here against the opponent's Medicham, as we are going to be able to still go for the Deoxys, swap out here, going to get some damage onto them, and we're going to see another Medicham coming in here, of course, as we're gonna go for the Psycho Boost. I'm not sure if Thunderbolt is better than Psycho Boost, and because I'm curious about this, and this is happening quite often, I kind of want to take a look at this real quick. Psycho Boost is 70 energy plus stab. I actually don't know how much Thunderbolt is. I think Thunderbolt is, not energy, of course, 70 energy is 70 damage. I think Thunderbolt is a little bit more, but let me check real quick what is the pure damage. Pure damage from Psycho Boost against the Medicham is 40, while from Thunderbolts is 43. So in this case, I definitely misplayed then, and I sure went for the Thunderbolt instead, as Thunderbolt does a little bit more damage, which I didn't expect, but it is the case. So something new learned here, 3 more damage from Thunderbolt over the Psycho Boost, even though Psycho Boost is stab and a very strong charge move. That is good to know. So here we're going to encounter one of the worst possible leads for this team, which is going to be the Lickitung, but I can swap into my Sableye, getting a shield here, as I am going to be a little bit too greedy. I thought that they wouldn't get to a move yet, and I tried to go up to 2 foul plays, and this was not the play. I'm going to be forced to use a shield against the body slam here, which is really not ideal. But I'm going to get at least the knockout against the opponent, as we're still going to get to a foul play against the opponent's Deoxys. So this kind of makes it up, as we can get the shield back there. But it's not really ideal yet. I'm going to decide to go into my own Deoxys, because I don't really want to get hit by a Thunderbolt yet from the Deoxys against my Manabus. So here they're going to go for the Thunderbolt. I will be able to go for my own Thunderbolt as well, which is going to do some decent damage against them, hopefully. And now they're going to be in range for definitely one charge move of the Manabus, but I can even get my Psycho Boost off in time. And I thought this was a CMP tie, but it wasn't. The opponent decides to also swap out now to their own Medicham, which is going to be the weird one. And now I still have my low HP Deoxys in the back. The opponent's Deoxys has some energy stored. The opponent has a Medicham against us, which is barely going to be able to survive 2 aerial aces here, which is going to be a little bit awkward, because they're going to get to another Ice Punch. So it's all not really going to look too great for us right now. But as we're going to see here, we're going to still be able to survive this Ice Punch, and I should be able to get to the aerial ace, and the opponent is forced to throw a charge move, which is, interestingly enough here, the opponent's decision going to be the Psycho Boost. And like this, I can swap out, they can still go for another charge move, but at this point, it doesn't even knock me out anymore. It's going to be, of course, resisted plus double debuffed. Absolutely wild. This was honestly like kind of the game where I felt like my opponent played like I did today. They played this really, really bad, and you're going to see it as well during this one. So yeah, of course, I'm just honest here towards the opponent, something that they might want to learn from. They already basically showed me the Skeledirge, which is a Pokemon that definitely can deal very well with our lead, as our lead doesn't really have anything to hit it with. Like, you have, of course, Charge Move that are neutral, but one Shadow Ball is all it really takes to knock out the Deoxys after a little bit of Incinerate damage. So basically, you know already, Skeledirge is a very valuable Pokemon for you. Here you're going to use a shield onto the Superior, all good, as you're going to decide to go for the Aerial Ace, which is a weird play, but actually works out well for you because you can go for the full farm down. But I can go into my Manabus right now, and for whatever reason, they decide here to go for an Aerial Ace and now swap into their Skeledirge, completely sacking this Pokemon. And it gets even weirder here, I guess, because the opponent is going to have a Sableye in the back and just forfeits there, but I don't know. I guess actually it wasn't really the biggest misplay at the end of the day, because they literally had nothing for Manabus on that team, which I only realized right now, so sorry about that. But I still find it a little bit weird to like swap the Skeledirge in there, but I guess, yeah, forgot that they had the Sableye in the back, so it wasn't even the biggest misplay by them, so sorry for that one, but I guess your team is just completely weak and gets completely destroyed by just one Manabus, which maybe would be something that you should overthink about as well. So maybe not the ideal variant there, but still cool to see a Skeledirge in the Great League. I always feel like I'm battling basically the same 5 Pokemon all over again. It's basically always like the Medicham, the Sableye, the Lickitung, something like a Lantern. Actually, I haven't seen a Lantern for longer, which I find interesting. So maybe Lantern is kind of getting a little bit lower, but Sandslash I see the entire time. Registeel is also fairly rare, I feel like. Like, Sandslash definitely is over Registeel in the current meta, which I find fairly interesting. So yeah, we're going to see here the Swampert in the back, which is going to be an interesting matchup as well, because the opponent kind of got me low enough that I might be in range for just one Hydro Cannon. I'm not too sure about the IVs of my Manabus, so actually, we're still going to be able to survive that one. The opponent tried to snipe me, but I predicted this one and went into my own Deoxys, which is going to be very cool for us, but because we can now get them into range for just one Aerial Ace, thanks to the counter damage, and I can even go for a Psycho Boost, which is going to get the shield from the opponent, allowing me to go for another Psycho Boost, and this is going to get the knockout here, and we will be able to still win this game, and we can move on into the final game that I played with this team. I played 11 games total, so here we're going to now see the Azumarill in the lead from someone who also won a regional already. Know them as well. I think they're a Dutch player, so let's take a look at this one. We got to see the Thunderbolt coming through from our Deoxys against the Azumarill. I kind of want to keep my Deoxys alive though. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go for a Psycho Boost and then swap out into my Sableye, trying to get an energy advantage here as we can farm them down all the way afterwards. And if they're not double decent against our Sableye in the back, we can just use the shield and just take the advantage in terms of the energy. But they decide to swap out into the Sandslash with Powder Snow, which I already said as well. Maybe actually going to make a video eventually as well about Powder Snow, LOL and Sandslash. Not in this Great League period most likely, but next time when it's around, which I think is only or like 1 week in between with like Ultra League, and afterwards I think we're going to get the Great League already again for 2 weeks, which is going to be nice. But here we're gonna now see the opponent is having to take a charge move from me, which is going to be a foul play, and we see the Gligar coming back in, which, or like for the first time coming in here, which is going to be fine for me because I can just go into my Mandibuzz, and my Mandibuzz is going to have a great time here, but the Azumarill still has some energy stored. I'm fairly certain there's still one bubble away from our player off, so I should be fine with that. I overfarmed by a little bit too much here, which kind of bothers me as well, which just can be a little bit tricky. But they're gonna swap out into the Azumarill, but they didn't really do it right. Okay, I mean, honestly, it was their only chance of trying to go for the player off there. So, like, no shot against the opponent there. That's definitely what you want to do. Of course, we were just able to swap out fast enough, so we were able to catch the move, allowing us to just go for 2 aerial aces here. Wasn't sure if Dark Pulse is already enough here, and my opponent going to make it a little bit easier for me anyway, as they're going to troll a little bit at the end, which I appreciate, with a dig, which is just funny. So, thanks all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.